In a jaw-dropping moment that has sent shockwaves across the entertainment and royal-watching communities, Meghan Markle was reportedly booed and heckled off the stage at the 2025 iHeartRadio Music Awards. Once introduced as a surprise presenter at the high-profile event, Markle faced a roaring backlash from the crowd, an undeniable indication that her public image is suffering serious damage. Witnesses say the Duchess looked visibly shaken as audience members erupted into loud boos, jeers, and calls for her to go home, cutting her appearance short and prompting event staff to escort her backstage. The unprecedented public humiliation wasn't just spontaneous rage, it was the climax of months of rising resentment fueled by Markle's perceived hypocrisy, tone-deaf statements, and relentless pursuit of the spotlight. What unfolded at the iHeartRadio Awards is only the latest chapter in a growing narrative. The public is losing patience with Meghan Markle. What was once a wave of sympathy and curiosity has turned into frustration, especially in the United States where she had hoped to rebrand herself. The crowd's reaction wasn't just about a single event, it reflected widespread fatigue with her ongoing efforts to position herself as a humanitarian and cultural icon while living a life that critics called disconnected and self-serving. Over the past year, Markle has made headlines not for charitable deeds or meaningful public service, but for high-dollar brand deals, controversial podcast episodes, and her increasingly political rhetoric that many see as opportunistic. The controversy deepened earlier this year when Markle relaunched her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, offering everything from luxury jams to personalized dinnerware, targeting a market of elite consumers while promoting messages of everyday empowerment. Critics were quick to point out the contradiction between her lavish lifestyle, evident in her Montecito mansion and private jet travels, and her constant framing as a woman of the people. The dissonance has turned off many former fans, particularly those who once supported her as a fresh face defying outdated royal traditions. Adding to the growing backlash, Markle's return to podcasting via a multi-million-dollar deal with a major streaming platform quickly spiraled into controversy. One episode in particular drew fire for her comments on motherhood and privilege, where she suggested she knows what it feels like to be marginalized. Social media exploded with criticism, especially from women of color and working-class communities who felt Markle was co-opting experiences she has not lived. The phrase Meghansplaining began trending, with many mocking her perceived need to dominate conversations with self-promotion and a victim narrative. The iHeartRadio debacle might not have happened in isolation. It came just weeks after Markle's reported attempts to secure a high-profile appearance at the Met Gala were allegedly rejected. According to insiders, Vogue's Anna Wintour was not keen on Markle's presence, fearing it would shift the focus from fashion to controversy. That exclusion stung, especially as Markle continues to seek relevance in Hollywood and the broader influencer ecosystem. What the iHeartRadio crowd confirmed is what PR teams are beginning to admit behind closed doors. Meghan's brand is becoming increasingly toxic. This public shift is also mirrored in recent polling. A U.S. media survey conducted in March 2025 found that Meghan's favorability rating had dropped to just 23%, a steep decline from the 63% peak she enjoyed after the couple's infamous 2021 Oprah interview. Meanwhile, media outlets that once championed her narrative are now scrutinizing her more critically. Even progressive platforms have begun to question her credibility, suggesting that the Duchess may have overplayed her hand by turning personal grievances into global causes. Perhaps most telling is the growing divide between Markle and the Hollywood elite she once hoped to join. Once welcomed at private dinners and industry events, sources now claim she and Prince Harry are increasingly being left off guest lists. Insiders from Netflix, another platform with which the couple had a lucrative deal, have expressed disappointment in the lackluster performance of their projects. After the initial buzz wore off, their content struggled to generate sustained interest, and production plans for future series are reportedly on pause. All of these developments culminated in the moment at the iHeartRadio Awards, when the public, free from filters and PR campaigns, made its feelings known loudly. The boos and heckles were not just a harsh critique of Markle's appearance, but a symbolic rejection of her broader narrative. It was the audience saying, "We're tired of the brand. We want authenticity, not performance." As Meghan Markle reportedly left the venue flanked by security, with scheduled interviews mysteriously canceled, questions now swirl about what's next. Can her image be salvaged? Or has the American public, once captivated by her outsider-turned-princess story, finally tuned out? The fallout from the iHeartRadio disaster suggests that Meghan Markle may have reached a turning point. Not one of redemption, but of reckoning. And in a world that now values transparency and accountability more than ever, it appears the Duchess has a long way to go if she hopes to win back the trust and admiration she once enjoyed. In the wake of the iHeartRadio incident, the silence from Meghan Markle's team has been deafening. No public statement, no clarification, and certainly no apology. Instead, insiders say her PR handlers are scrambling behind the scenes, trying to spin the narrative as online hate spilling into the real world. But this strategy may no longer work. The backlash isn't being driven by anonymous trolls, it's now being voiced by everyday people who once gave her the benefit of the doubt. The crowd at iHeartRadio didn't appear angry out of nowhere. It was the result of a long pattern of disappointment. Observers point out that Meghan's strategy, positioning herself as both a victim and a brand, has become increasingly transparent. While she and Prince Harry stepped back from royal duties under the banner of seeking privacy, they've since signed multi-million-dollar deals, launched media projects, and made countless public appearances. To many, the contradiction is glaring. It's hard to ask for privacy while simultaneously orchestrating carefully curated publicity campaigns and photo ops. At some point, the narrative broke, and what's left is a growing perception of inauthenticity. Even more damaging, however, is the sense that Meghan has tried to build her image by tearing others down. From subtle jabs at the royal family to thinly veiled critiques of American institutions, her interviews and public appearances often carry an undertone of grievance. While her defenders argue that she's merely speaking her truth, her critics say it's a repetitive script designed to deflect accountability and maintain victimhood status. The iHeartRadio crowd wasn't just rejecting her, they were rejecting the narrative itself. There are also reports that several of her former celebrity allies are beginning to distance themselves. A-listers who once supported her publicly have gone quiet. Charity partners, wary of controversy, are reportedly reassessing their relationships. Public sympathy has shifted toward a more skeptical tone, with more people asking, what does Meghan really stand for? If the answer is simply brand building, then the backlash will only intensify. In Hollywood, perception is everything, and once that slips, it's difficult to recover. Meghan Markle's iHeartRadio humiliation may not have been the beginning of her downfall, but it was certainly the most public confirmation of it. Whether she regroups, rebrands, or retreats remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the audience is no longer buying what she's selling.